He's a fantasy football favorite, one of the more versatile running backs in the NFL. And next year, he'll be playing for the team in the nation's capital. Talking business with Washington Commanders running back Austin Ekeler right now. Hello, everyone. This is Jabari Young here at the Nasdaq MarketSite for our Forbes Monday, man. And I'm joined by Austin Ekeler, the new running back, not wide receiver, running back, because you're like multi-dimensional, so you confuse me sometimes. Yeah, running back for the Washington Commanders, man. Talking business and a lot more. You got a lot going on, but I want to start by saying, A, are you healthy? Because you had that high ankle sprain, man. You look like you're smiling and see the chain on there, so you look healthy, man. How's that ankle feel?
No, it's feeling good.
Nice.
I appreciate you having me on. Looking forward to being here. Yeah, but feeling good, man. Ready for the season. Yeah. Ready to kick it off with the Commanders.
You ready for the season already, man? We got finished football like a couple weeks ago.
I know. It feels like a long time ago for me because we were out early, unfortunately. Yeah. But body's ready to go, back in shape. Yeah, definitely give me a couple months here, but no. I think the offseason is just long enough where I miss it, you know, and I'm like, I want to go back.
Nice,
so I'm getting to that.
Yeah. Well, listen, man, we start this month is Financial Literacy Month, right?
Okay.
Yeah. This month, April Financial is very important, man. And one of your brethren, Namdika Su, I always think back to a conversation me and that brother had, and he was telling me about some of the things he learned in financial literacy. One of his favorite topics was credit building at a young age, right? He didn't even realize that. Now he got credit cards in his kid's name, right? Yeah. They're not even 10 yet. I ask you, man, your biggest learnings of financial literacy since you got into the league in 2017?
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the unfortunate things is, sometimes you learn the hard way, but it also gives you lessons that, you can share with others. And one of those in the financial space is, for me, is you don't have to rush it. Don't rush it. Learn first. Learn so you can speak the language, so you understand when you're talking to someone about whatever industry it is, whether it's your personal finances, real estate, whatever it is, you can speak the language. And what I did was I trusted people too quick and didn't understand the language, and didn't understand the industry, and because I didn't spend enough time learning about it. And whether it's learning from a mentor, learning from online, YouTube, whatever it is, spend the time to learn before you actually start putting money in your mouth. And you don't have to rush. There's no rush. I know there's a lot of pressure by, don't save money, it's not making you money. Well, guess what? If you put it in bad investments, you're going to lose money. And so take the time. That's what I would have told myself going back. You don't have to push your money in the market as soon as you get it, right? You can take your time and learn. So that'd be my financial literacy advice for you.
Yeah, well, take your time and learn, man. Well, listen, let's get into it right fast because you took your time. Again, 2-year deal with the Commanders. Now, I see it's $8 million and then it's 11. What is the truth? Is it the incentive? Is it up to 11 million?
I know.
Is it 8, 11? Like, what is that?
What gets out there is all over the place. It was crazy. Quick story. Actually, before I even agreed to the contract, I'm getting hit up. Congrats. People are sending me the deal like, hey, this is what you just signed. And I'm like, what the heck? So somehow it got leaked out there and people have just ran with it. Actually ended up agreeing to that deal. But yeah, there's some incentives in there. It's 8, and then there's incentives to get it up to 11 as I continue to play at the level I can.
What are the incentives?
It comes down to yardage, comes down to touchdowns, so everything that I do anyway. So.
Did you help negotiate that yourself, or did
absolutely.
Agent? Oh, you did it yourself?
Well, so going into year 8 now, I've been around contracts a little bit, been around just seeing other opportunities out there, and then also it's not only the negotiation, but it's the place. Like, where do you want to be? What's the scenario that you also play into it as a player too that goes into the negotiation? What's the capacity that you're going to be? Are you going to be a starter? Are you going to be a tandem? Are you going to be a backup? And so that's the conversation that you have with your team to make sure you're on the same page when you go and actually talk numbers.
Yeah. Bobby Wagner was a guy. He actually was fascinating because he always negotiated his deals last minute. Did you call him at all, or who did you talk to about how to view this? Because again, you're going into a new situation. You've been with the Chargers your entire career. Now free agency is hitting you. Like, who do you kind of lean on?
This is my first time. Being on a new team. It's been a blessing being with the Chargers for the last 7 years. But as the nature of the game goes, you kind of bounce around if you play long enough. And this is my first time. So for me, it's been really with my internal team. Like my agency, Dynamic Sports Group, is who I've been with. I've trusted them. They were the ones that recruited me out of college. And so that's my group that I've really just stayed. And then, you also lean on other guys as far as seeing what's going on in the market and things like that, so you can get comparables, so you can see who's making moves, who has availability. So there's a lot that plays into it, not only with yourself and your own team, but also with your team talking to others.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Listen, get into a whole bunch of that more, but let me ask you, why the Commanders, and how much did Anthony Lynn factor in? I know that was your head coach with the Chargers when you first started off, and so the Anthony Lynn connection is there. How much did he factor into that?
Yeah, absolutely. So why the Commanders? Well, there was a scenario where, okay, Austin, I came into a scenario where you're going to be a tandem back with the Chargers, and it never really played itself out like that. I was really the main guy the whole time. But I feel like when I was at my best, when it was with Melvin Gordon and we were splitting carries, not only at my best on the field, but also with my body after the games and how I felt. And that was with, coincidentally, Anthony Lynn as well. And now coming back, it seems like, in every industry, who matters. And so Anthony Lynn being on the team knows kind of my play style, had me in that tandem type of role. We have Brian Robertson is also with the Commanders as well. So I think he sees kind of that vision coming back of what we had back in early days of the Chargers.
Yeah, dual running back style.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah, absolutely.
Two guys that make an impact.
Yeah, absolutely. When you think about how this league is changing, I definitely want to get your input because some running backs got some great contracts, and I know you maybe disagree with maybe some of the perceptions of running back contracts. But when you go back and you're looking at all these teams, is the Commanders the only one that hit you up, or who others were you interested in that you were really leaning towards that?
So first day of free agency opening up, it was madness in the running back market. People going off everywhere because there was abundance of us. Kind of that 2017 class that now is becoming free, and the class before us because they just franchised the three guys and the one before us. So there was kind of a frenzy, and so people were going off the board. There was deals getting done left and right, and simple supply and demand. It was okay. Who are the bigger contracts? Those ones went off the board first, and then it kind of started trickling down for everyone else. And so what I want to see when we're talking about just value of the running back market is just the guys that are making the big impact get paid rightfully so, right? It's about impact. I don't care what position you play. If you make a big impact at that, you should get paid for that. You can't categorize a whole category and say, well, you played running back, so you get paid less because you played running back. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter your position. If you make a bigger impact, you should be compensated for that.
Yeah, absolutely. 44 total touchdowns over the last 3 years. And you led the league with 38 between 2021 and 2022. So, hopefully, man, the Commanders are getting that old style back. Because let me tell you something, man. I used you a lot on Madden. When I played with the Chargers, man, you got that drag route. You can just that route right there. And I love playing it. And so I was so disappointed when y'all didn't get there. Y'all went out traded for Khalil Mack. Y'all had the receivers. Everything was working, man.
I know.
What the heck happened?
Well, here's the thing. Paper doesn't play football. Humans do. And so there's a lot that goes into it.
Absolutely.
There's a lot that goes into execution. There's injuries. There's the culture. There's people not playing well. There's people that are playing well. And there's the whole mix of all of this that goes into a season. So there's a lot of expectations going into it, which is rightfully so. We do a great job hyping it up. Everyone getting excited, fantasy, all of the stuff that's going on with football and outside of football. But then it comes down to players. We got to make plays. And we know we just didn't get it done last year, unfortunately. But I know, man.
Yeah, man. Well, listen, you're in the NFC East now, man. I'm from Philly. I don't cheer for the Eagles, but still, you're in the NFC East now, man. A dynamic division. So wish you the best of luck, man.
I appreciate it.
Get into some more NFL business later, but let's look at your off-the-field business, man. You have this NIL platform, and I quote, all athletes should have a path to commercial success. And that's what you said when you were doing the video for Eksperience, right? Am I pronouncing that correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Eksperience, right? This is a revolutionary platform. It's helping student athletes connect with fans to both monetize their name, image, and likeness and to build long-term personal brand value. Take me inside of this business. Why NIL? Why this platform?
Yeah, absolutely. And it goes beyond NIL, but really what I saw in the market of sports is a lot of different industries that are pulling from the fandom of sports. And a lot of that money trickles to other places and not back to the athlete. And so as an athlete, I'm like, man, it would be really great for us to be able to tap into our own fandom that we're creating, our own likeness, and bring that back into the capacity of the athletes and into the fans, and so to speak. And so what I'm doing is creating a platform that's connecting the two, bridging the gap between fans and athletes. And how I'm doing it is making it as easy as possible on the fan or on the athlete, so that they're actually willing to step to the table and come and do interactions, whether it be signings, because signings are really outdated now. It's hard to get things signed, right? So let's make it easier for things to get signed by people being able to send things in. Video chats, personalized video, being able to follow along in a season. So really bridging the gap, not only in the NIL space, but just in sports in general.
Where are you at with this platform? I was browsing around, and it looks like it's still in this introductory phase. And listen, it's hard, and I know it's very expensive to run a software company. Where are you at with this platform? How long is it going to take you to kind of launch it?
So I've learned a lot in my journey in the tech space. We've been developing for about 2.5 years, and I've been bootstrapping it, and then about 8 months ago made a pivot, and we really got serious as we really started to catch traction with a few clients in the university space. And then I had to hire professionals to actually come in and actually run the company and actually bring it to a place where we can actually go into the market and then actually scale. And so we've been, like I said, developing for 2 years and really close to doing our alphas and looking for a round of funding. So it's coming up on.
So you're seeking funding?
Yeah, we will be. Yeah.
How much are you seeking?
Yeah, so the number hasn't been locked in yet as
Okay.
far as our valuation and what we're going to be raising yet, but we definitely have talks that I've been going through and learning about the funding realm as well as a CEO and founder.
Yeah. What are you hearing from possible investors? What do you want to see more of?
Yeah, so I have a ton of interest. I have a lead investor who's done due diligence and come in, and now it's just coming into, okay, what's this number going to be? How much are you going to come in? And then I also have supporting cast as well, waiting for this first investor to come in. So we've been down the talks for about a month or a few months really of finding investors, but almost there.
Yeah, nice. Well, look at inside your portfolio, because people may not remember, man, but you were a 2024 Forbes. They're under 30 lister, right?
Yes.
I was shocked when I saw your name. Man. I ain't even gonna front. I was. But here you are. People may not know you have a great portfolio, man. A Fantasy Life, right? You're still an investor in that particular platform.
Yeah.
Fantasy Life, and also Moneyline. Is that another platform? Fantasy Life just went through a $2 million fundraise in 2023. John Legend is an investor in that company. Take me in Fantasy Life, man, because again, you're a fantasy football favorite. People love your stat lines.
Right.
Usually take me into this Fantasy Life company, man. What do you think?
Absolutely. So fantasy sports in general, we'll start there, is just an awesome opportunity for people to get involved in sports that maybe didn't know about players on different teams, but now it's opening the door. Now people know who Austin Ekeler is, even though they're on the East Coast or wherever in the world, because they love fantasy football or sports betting. And so that really draws me to the industry, not only because I'm in it, but because I love the community aspect of it and how that just affects our society as a whole. And then when it comes to Fantasy Life is like, okay, how can we continue to get involved in this? Well, let's give people tips and tricks, and here's the picks, and here's what you should be picking. Here's the different things to get involved, and with notable people involved in that as well. Kind of puts a name, brand, and also gives a whole platform and a whole place where, okay, now I have a one go-to spot to get all of my things that I need for my fantasy life, for my fantasy journey during the season.
Yeah. You don't get any backlash from the people who, if you last year maybe not been your best season, you didn't hear any feedback like, man, what the hell you doing? You killing my fantasy league.
Yeah. So as an athlete, you're always going to be criticized.
Yeah.
And I've been playing for 20 years now, football, going back to my early days. And there's always people that, great game, you suck, all of it, everything in between. I've heard it all. And so you kind of get thick skin because of that. You build the mental toughness in that. And so you push through it, even though you're going to have ups and downs. Fans are going to be emotional. That's what makes the game, as great as it is, because people are actually involved emotionally. And they come and they cheer and they boo and they do all of it. And that's just, the great part of that sport.
Yeah, I like you said, mental toughness, man. Perfect segue for me as we flash back, right? You grew up in Colorado, and first of all, what was that like? Because when I covered the NBA, I loved going into Denver, right? And that airport ride from Denver to the airport, that was a little very unique. But I love Denver, man, a great city. But what was it like growing up in Colorado?
Yeah, so flying into Denver, when you look around, it's it's just fields. Fields and usually brown, Mountains are way off in the distance, but I was out in the plains. And so I grew up in the ranch life, and so learned how to work with my hands, learned how to, get along and do a lot with a little. That's what you learn when you're out in the country. Right. And so grew up with a lot of responsibility, taking care of animals, building barbed wire fence.
That's right.
Playing sports. And so when you're in that environment, you learn a lot of tough love, you learn a lot of intensity as far as work, detail, building, and also you can bring that work ethic into the sports world, and it makes for a good combination.
Yeah, I tell people, when you start like that, it makes you appreciate things, right? I used to be a kid mopping floors at a car dealership, and you just went down barbed wire fencing, right? And so, that kind of attention to detail part as well. Then attending Western Colorado University, you balled out there. What was your major when you was in college?
Yeah, I was a business major.
You were a business major.
Energy management.
Energy management. So if the NFL didn't work out, what was the route in energy
Actually,
management?
Backwards. The NFL came to me out of nowhere. So I wasn't even thinking about the NFL. I grew up watching bull riding, and I wanted to be a professional bass fisherman, if you believe that or not.
Wow.
So that's what I grew up doing, And so I was like, okay, I'm going to go to school. I'm going to use football to help me kind of supplement school. I didn't get a full ride or anything out of Division II, but I'm going to school for business. I get an internship with a company at the time called Noble Energy. They're an oil and gas company out in Colorado. A lot of ties to that. I was going to get into that and use my capital, start house hacking and start flipping homes, and then build a real estate portfolio. That was my plan. Then all of a sudden, my coach comes to me after my junior year. Is like, Austin, you got some scouts looking at you, man. And I'm like, scouts? Who's a scout? I've never seen, no one from my school has ever gone to the NFL, so I haven't seen there's no scouts here. And sure enough, after my senior year, I had a bunch of people coming and asking me, sitting down with me, and then the NFL became a real reality for me. So I was going down the entrepreneurial journey before football, and so that's why it stays with me.
And down that football journey, man, listen, in college, I'm looking at your stats and reading up on stories, and you were described as a competitive dude, right? You was going to get it done no matter how you're going to do it, but you weren't drafted. Right, and you had to go under. What was your mindset like? Because you get the notice that scouts are looking at you, so you maybe your trajectory, and then you don't get drafted. And I say that because this month is the NFL draft, right? In April, and there are going to be some kids who may not hear their name called. How do you shift your mindset to say, you know what, I'm going to make this happen?
Well, through my upbringing, I was just taught just attention to detail, and whatever you're in, like, you go for it. You put everything you can into that and try to make it as best you can. That's what I was doing with my education. When football came, it became really real for me. And what I mean by that is I finished my senior year and I didn't go back to school my spring season because I said, if this is an opportunity for me, I'm doing everything I possibly can to make sure that it's not something I didn't do that causes me to fail. Like, I want to make sure I put everything in there. At the end of the day, I can say, yep, that was everything that Austin Ekeler could have gave. And that's where I put myself. I put myself in a position where maybe it was a little too much, where I was like, hey, this is everything. This is like survival instinct, kick in, you got to make it happen. And I put so much pressure on myself to go out there and compete because I was 6th string on the depth chart. And so I had everything to prove, and I knew that. And I had limited opportunities to do it. So when I got my opportunity, I had to make sure that I knew everything and I did it at a high level. And that's exactly what I did, and it ended up paying out for me. So that was my mindset, where it was like, this is everything. You got to make it work.
And you made your way on special teams. Like,
I did.
People don't realize, like, when you're on that undrafted, the way you get on rosters, and I think you hear it through all these hard knock special teams. Because I want to believe, because everybody wants to be the star, right? Everybody want to be, but special teams is the way you do it, right? How were you able to flip your special teams and then turn it into an active roster?
Yeah, absolutely. As I said, I was trying to take advantage of any opportunity that I had, and I didn't ever play special teams, not one down of special teams before I got to the Chargers. And all of a sudden, I'm running down on kickoffs and running on punts. Well, that's my opportunity. Guess what? I'm running for my life out there. That's what you got to get done. And it's still my favorite stat to this day. Like I said, I never tackled anybody, never did any of that, but I led the NFL in tackles on punt my rookie year. And it just shows you where my mindset was. Like, I am running for my life out here. Like, I'm on fire. Like, you cannot touch me. If you're you can't block me. You can't get around. I'm making this tackle. And that's how it was. And that was my mindset. And then I was able to continue to make impact on special teams. And they threw me out on offense. My first ever carry that they gave me, 34-yard ripper right up the middle against the Eagles. Against the Eagles. We'll run that back.
Well, you see them twice a year now. I will remember that. I will be.
So that was my first ever touchdown, first ever handoff in my 3rd game. And so then they started putting me on offense a little bit more, and then the rest was history.
Again, man, multi-dimensional. And I love using you on Madden, man. And so and staying here on the field again. Let's go back to a tweet you made in 2023, right? And I saw it was a NFL scout who had a perspective on how to use running backs, right? And his perspective was, you draft one, you tag one, you release them, and then you do it all over again. And you came in and you said, this is the kind of trash that has artificially devalued one of the most important positions in the game. Everyone knows it's tough to win without a top running back, and yet they act like we're discardable widgets. I support any running back, whatever it takes to get his bag, right? And so that was in 2023. And again, the perception was running backs are devalued. Here we are in 2024. We mentioned off the top of the show, Saquon Barkley gets his with the Eagles, right? And you have Josh Jacobs, right? He gets his with the Green Bay Packers. 2 good deals. Is that mindset still the same? Is the running back position still devalued? Or do you think maybe this particular offseason has helped reestablish that? Because you go back historically, and I was making calls. You talk about Emmitt Smith, you talk about Eric Dickerson, you talk about Todd Gurley, people setting the market. Ezekiel Elliott in 2019, there were guys who held out to get big paid money, and now I understand where that perspective of devaluing running backs comes in at. But again, 2024 free agency, is it better?
Well, let me ask you this. Let me put a scenario on the table. Josh Jacobs, 1,600 yards, 13 touchdowns. All right, Josh, you're going into free agency. Actually, whoa. We're actually going to franchise tag you. You don't get to negotiate. This is what you're getting, and it's a 1-year deal, and all the risk is on you. It's guaranteed, but it's all on you. There you go. That's your deal. Like, whoa. Like, that's powerful. Like, what do you mean? I don't get an opportunity to go see the free market. I don't get a chance to negotiate, with other teams. Like, you're artificially holding the market down because of that. You're locking him in. Doesn't give him opportunity to go get maybe what he was worth after that year, after a pinnacle year. And when you franchise guys, when you do that, you're putting them in a position where you don't get any control. And so that's what we were attacking there. And so seeing these guys get their contracts is amazing. Like, that's exactly what we wanted to see last year. And that's why all of the fuss came out about the running backs and what was going on with that, because we were just pissed off, to be frank with you. And we didn't like that. And, you know, this is still the same mindset. If we make impact, we want to make sure we have every player, I don't care what position you play, you get an opportunity to go get your compensation for that, because we don't get to play forever. And so taking a year and forcing you to take a deal is taking a year off the table of maybe something that you could have earned more. And so that's where we stood on there, and I still stand on that today.
What needs to change moving forward? I mean, you guys are locked into a very long deal as far as some collective bargaining agreements. So I don't see much changing. Money's going to go up. I mean, 13% jump in salary cap because of that big contract that they signed TV-wise. I don't know if it'll jump the same next year, but what needs to happen differently so that running backs can feel appreciated?
Yeah, it's not just running backs, you know, and it's not something that I can come out and say, because it is a collective bargaining, collective between the NFLPA, which is our collective community, and the NFL owners. And so for me, from my perspective, I would love to see change in that category. Not speaking for the whole NFLPA, but I just think it's really, really like just a tool that can't go on as far as for us if we want to continue to get free open market deals. We're always gonna make more money. Like that is what history has shown us. The caps are going to go up. We're going to continue to make impact. We're, you know, Lee's expanding globally now, so there's going to be new markets we're getting into. So the salary is always going to go up, but let's not put a ceiling on people because of, you know, some type of control mechanism that's in the CBA. And so it's not something that can easily be changed. It's something that will have to be negotiated for, and we'll have to see if that's even worth negotiating.
Absolutely, absolutely. Well, listen, man, let's close ahead, right? Some rapid reaction stuff. Start with your foundation, right? The Austin Ekeler Foundation. What's the status? Any big news? Any causes? I know you want to give back to those kids coming up like you, right? What's the status of the Austin Ekeler Foundation?
Yeah, so quick blurb on the Austin Ekeler Foundation, putting resources, tangible, physical things back into the community. Washers and dryers, weight rooms is what we're focusing on now. We just built Long Beach Poly's weight room. Now we have Balboa High School up in San Francisco that we're building as well. And so we're always looking for opportunities to, if there's something physically that we can put in the community that's going to be around for years, that generations can use, those are the opportunities that we're going to look for.
Yeah, I know inside your portfolio you're in the real estate, right? A lot of craziness around the real estate market. You got commercial real estate, which is all over the place. And then you have the housing shortage, right? We are we're in a housing crisis. What is Austin Ekeler looking at in the real estate sector?
Yeah, you know, it's interesting right now. I have a couple of portfolio loans that I'm deciding, okay, is this something that we're willing to, you know, let this kind of lapse and then get into where we have to get a new interest rate, or do we want to sell? Do we want to start offboarding? So right now, kind of in a holding pattern. Have a few years before we're going to have to get back into that conversation with our bank. So right now it's interesting. If there's cash opportunities, we're taking those, but not really taking out any financing right now.
Do you have any apartment complexes, anything that's in your portfolio now?
Yeah, so I have a few condominiums back in Colorado, and then a ton of single family homes as well out in Kansas City, Missouri.
Nice. Why Kansas City?
It was an opportunity. Had a mass foreclosure. We had 4 flipping crews that were willing to relocate and go and execute the deal for us and flip these homes. And so we've been 1031 in the ones that, you know, aren't cash flowing, and then we'll keep the cash flow ones. So.
Nice, absolutely. We'll take it to LinkedIn on this one, right? I went to the LinkedIn community and I said, hey, I got Austin Ekeler coming to the Nasdaq MarketSite. What would you guys ask him? I got one question from Dr. John Turner. He said, are you planning to pick Magic Johnson's brain about business and NFL team ownership as you think about your future after football?
Yeah, I don't necessarily think it'll be, you know, about ownership. Who knows? I really just want to, you know, make the introduction and really meet everyone over there in the front office for our new team. I know there's a lot of new exciting faces in there that have a new era, a new kind of feel to them. And so I felt that when I made my visit and signed the contract. So I'm looking forward to getting all those relationships going, and especially with Magic.
Got to pick Magic's brain, man.
For sure.
I mean, the guy's like a Forbes billionaire, right? He got his empire, his enterprise. Got to pick Magic Johnson's brain, man. And then speaking of leadership stuff, Forbes BLK, a great community we have. We're building here at Forbes. And I know one of the things, spring is here now, right? You got any good books, financial literacy books, anything like that could be helpful for people?
Yeah, so there's one called Spark. It's a leadership book.
Nice. Spark.
It's called Spark. I forgot who it was by. And then also I've been reading 10X is Easier Than 2X by Dan Sullivan. That was a good one too.
Nice.
Another entrepreneurial book, helping you just kind of organize your thoughts and making sure you're just focusing on the 20% that can really build you and what you want to be attentive on. So some good books out there I would recommend.
Absolutely, man. Well, listen, get you out of here because one of my favorite business books is Jim Collins' Good to Great. Right?
Okay.
I love that book, one of the best leadership books ever. And I get you out of here on this, man. What's the difference, especially as we're moving on, 2024 season up? What is the difference between a good running back and a great one?
Ooh, the difference between a good running back and a great running back. I mean, it all comes down to impact. Like, that's how we're measured. What impact do you have? You've heard me say that word so many times. Like, what impact do you have on the field? And if you can make an impact that it's unique to all of us, because you might have a guy like Christian, you might have a guy like Derrick Henry, Saquon, like myself. We all have our own kind of stamp that we can put on the game. Mm-hmm. And I think when you can be respected and you're on the other team's game plan for when we got to stop this guy, that's when you become great. You're only good, I think, if they're not talking about you like, oh, they got a cool running game. But if they're game planning for you, that's how you become great, and that's when you're recognized as great. Yeah. But we're always trying to make the biggest impact we can. So I think the other teams measure that for us, depending on if they're game planning for us or not.
Absolutely. Well, listen, man, here's the cheers to you making a big impact with the Commanders this season coming up, and making a big impact in the business world, man. Yeah. I'd love to have you back here. Always love talking business with you, and good luck, man. I'm glad you're healthy again.
Yeah.
And go make some noise in Washington, man.
That's what I do.
Absolutely. Austin Ekeler here at the Nasdaq MarketSite. Thanks for watching.